Reality TV fans thought this week was going to be messy, but 90 Day Fiancé took things from awkward to alarming fast. First up, Catie and Josh are facing one of the biggest fan debates of the season. That uncomfortable bar scene had viewers watching Catie's behavior, Josh's reaction, and the tension between them with growing concern. And then the backlash got even more serious. Fans are now talking about consent after Catie appeared to push physical affection while Josh seemed uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Shekinah is under fire after fans accused her of making a cruel comment about someone going back to their country. Next, Parrott is getting dragged on The Last Resort, with fans calling her controlling, negative, and hard to please, while others wonder if the edit is making her look worse than she really is. And finally, Aisha tried to criticize her man's clothes, but fans turned the spotlight right back on her dress and roasted the whole moment. So, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because this drama is getting messier by the minute. Let's start with Catie and Josh. Catie and Josh just went from awkward 90 Day Fiancé couple to full-blown fan alarm bells. What started as a messy night out has now turned into one of the most uncomfortable debates of the season. Viewers are not just talking about flirting, kissing, or secondhand embarrassment anymore. They are asking whether something much more serious was unfolding right in front of the cameras. The reaction exploded after fans watched Catie sitting with Josh, drink in hand, during a scene that many said felt difficult to watch. Some viewers claimed her behavior looked shaky, emotional, and out of control, and one fan post bluntly argued that this did not look like OCD or autism to them, but like a possible alcohol problem. That comment lit the fuse, and suddenly the conversation was no longer about whether Catie and Josh had chemistry. It became about whether Josh was ignoring red flags. A lot of fans said the scene made them deeply uncomfortable because Catie's behavior seemed to shift as the night went on. They pointed to the drinking, the way she carried herself, and the way Josh looked like he was trying to stay calm while processing what was happening. To them, this was not quirky reality TV chaos. It looked like someone spiraling while her fiancé stood there humiliated and unsure what to do. But not everyone agreed with that harsh take. Some viewers pushed back hard, warning that it is irresponsible to label someone an alcoholic based on a short, edited TV segment. Others said anxiety, trauma, medication, sensory overload, OCD, autism, or panic could all affect how someone speaks and behaves. They argued that fans should be careful before turning concern into a diagnosis. Still, even some sympathetic viewers admitted the situation felt unhealthy. Whether the issue was alcohol, anxiety, poor coping skills, or something deeper, fans do not think Josh can fix it by simply being patient. They're worried he's being placed in the role of the understanding fiancé while absorbing embarrassment, confusion, and emotional pressure on camera. And that's why this storyline suddenly feels heavier than normal 90 Day drama. Fans aren't just laughing at an awkward scene. They're questioning whether TLC should have filmed it, whether someone should have stepped in, and whether Josh is seeing the same red flags everyone else claims to see. Viewers are split between compassion for Catie and concern for Josh, but the loudest opinion is clear. Something about this dynamic doesn't feel stable. Don't go anywhere because the Catie and Josh conversation is about to get even more intense. Next, fans are raising a much bigger issue after one uncomfortable moment turns into a serious debate about consent and boundaries. The Catie and Josh backlash just took a much darker turn. At first, fans were focused on the drinking concerns and the awkward energy of that bar scene. But now, the conversation has shifted into something even bigger because viewers are saying this was not just uncomfortable flirting, it was a serious boundary issue. The moment that set everything off came when Catie appeared to keep pushing physical affection while Josh clearly did not look comfortable. Fans pointed to the scene where he seemed to put his hand up toward her face, almost like he was trying to stop the kiss from happening. Then, the situation got even more awkward when the moment was described as her tonguing my palm. And just like that, the tone of the entire conversation changed. Because for many viewers, this was not funny anymore. It was not quirky. It was not just Catie being unpredictable or socially awkward. Fans felt like they were watching someone continue to push physical contact after the other person had already shown discomfort. And that is where the comment section exploded. The biggest question viewers kept repeating was simple. What if the roles were reversed? If Josh had been the one leaning in, ignoring discomfort and making Catie physically block him, fans argued the reaction would have been immediate and much harsher. People would be calling it out clearly. They would be asking why no one stepped in. They would not be brushing it off as awkward romance. And that double standard is what made the backlash so intense. Viewers said Josh looked trapped, embarrassed, and forced to manage the situation without making it worse. Instead of being treated like someone whose boundaries mattered, fans felt he became part of a scene that people were expected to laugh at or cringe through. Of course, some fans tried to soften the criticism. They said Catie may be socially awkward, overwhelmed, anxious, or simply unaware of how strongly she was coming across. But even some sympathetic viewers agreed that none of that erases the need for consent. You can feel bad for someone and still say their behavior crossed the line. Now, fans are demanding a more serious conversation. They're saying that's just Catie is not an excuse, and Josh should not have to physically block affection for people to understand he's uncomfortable. Viewer opinion is split between compassion and accountability, but the loudest reaction is clear. Boundaries matter, no matter who crosses them. Keep it locked, because this Catie and Josh controversy is not the only 90-day moment making fans furious. Up next, Shekinah lands in hot water after one alleged comment has viewers calling out hypocrisy and dragging Sarper into the chaos. Shekinah just landed in one of the ugliest fan backlashes of the season. This time, the drama's not about jealousy, plastic surgery, or another chaotic 90-day relationship fight. It is about one alleged comment that viewers say crossed a serious line, and fans are calling out the hypocrisy fast. The backlash started after a fan post accused Shekinah of allegedly telling someone to go back to your country, with the poster pointing out what they saw as a huge contradiction. Shekinah's own storyline has been built around an international relationship, cultural differences, and the complicated world of love across borders. So when fans saw that kind of language connected to her name, the reaction was immediate. Viewers did not treat it like a random messy insult. A lot of them felt it hit deeper because 90 Day Fiancé is literally a show about people trying to build relationships across countries, cultures, and immigration systems. So for fans, hearing someone from that world allegedly use a comment like that felt especially harsh. People started calling it disrespectful, entitled, and completely tone-deaf. And then the conversation got even messier when Sarper's name got dragged into it. The original poster later updated the discussion after someone claimed Sarper and Shekinah were no longer together. And while that claim should not be treated as confirmed from fan chatter alone, it definitely changed the mood of the thread. Suddenly, some viewers are not just criticizing Shekinah's alleged words, they were joking that Sarper might be better off, saying he had escaped the chaos, and turning the whole post into a larger debate about their relationship. That is what made this backlash grow so quickly. It wasn't just one comment anymore. It became about how fans already feel about Shekinah's attitude, her confidence, her relationship with Sarper, and whether viewers see her as misunderstood or just mean-spirited. For people who were already tired of her, this moment became proof of everything they disliked. For others, the pile-on felt too harsh, especially when the conversation started getting personal. Still, the core issue is why the alleged comment hit such a nerve. Fans may forgive drama, shade, and messy reality TV arguments, but they are much less forgiving when the words feel cruel or targeted at someone's background. Viewer opinion is intense, and the spicy fan theory is obvious. Some people think this moment may damage Shekinah's image more than a normal 90-day fight ever could. Up next, Rebecca Parrott faces the last resort heat as fans question her attitude, her marriage to Zeed, and whether the edit is exposing too much. Rebecca Parrott just became the last resort lightning rod, and fans are not being gentle. One screenshot was enough to restart the whole conversation around Rebecca, Zeed, and whether viewers are finally seeing a side of their marriage that feels harder to defend. What began as a harsh fan caption quickly turned into a full-on debate about attitude, insecurity, and whether Rebecca's strong personality is becoming too much for fans to ignore. The post that set everything off showed Rebecca with a serious expression, and the caption basically made it clear the viewer was done with her. From there, the comment section opened up, and suddenly people were not just talking about one moment. They were dragging years of opinions about Rebecca back into the spotlight. For longtime 90 Day Fiancé fans, Rebecca and Zeed used to be one of those couples people questioned but still wanted to root for. Their story had the age gap, the cultural concerns, the family doubts, and all the classic franchise tension. But somehow, they made viewers believe there was real commitment underneath the chaos. Now, after The Last Resort, that image seems to be shifting fast. Fans are calling Rebecca negative, controlling, overly opinionated, and difficult to please. Some viewers said she acts more like Zeed's mother than his wife. Others said she seems to want Zeed to back her no matter what, even when the situation does not actually call for it. And that became the bigger issue. People are no longer just asking whether Rebecca is annoying on the show. They're asking what that energy feels like inside the marriage. Zeed, meanwhile, is getting a wave of sympathy. Many fans said he seems calm, patient, and stuck dealing with constant tension. Some even suggested they understand why he might want space, or why he may not always want to be around her in group situations. That is a major shift, because Rebecca was once seen by many as the one fighting to protect the relationship. But of course, not everyone thinks the backlash is fair. Some fans say The Last Resort is designed to bring out the worst in people, and Rebecca may simply be getting a brutal edit. Others argue she is allowed to be outspoken, even if viewers did not like her delivery. Still, the fan opinion right now is spicy. Some believe Rebecca's insecurities are becoming the real villain of her storyline. Up next, Aisha tries to judge her man's clothes, only for fans to flip the fashion roast right back on her. Aisha tried to clown his outfit, but the internet looked at her dress and said, not so fast. What was supposed to be a quick fashion critique turned into a full-blown roast session because fans did not just hear what Aisha said, they saw what she was wearing, and suddenly the whole conversation flipped. The moment started with Aisha sitting next to her man and talking about the way people present themselves. She brought up how, in the States, people might say someone looks country, clearly suggesting that his clothing or style was too simple, too old-fashioned, or just not polished enough for her taste. It was one of those reality TV lines that probably sounded casual in the moment, but once viewers got hold of it, the meaning changed completely. Because instead of focusing on him, fans immediately turned their attention to Aisha. Her red patterned dress became the real headline. Viewers noticed the unusual neckline, the crisscrossing straps, and the way the whole outfit seemed confusing from the angle shown. Some fans joked that it looked like it was twisted. Others said it looked like she accidentally put her head through the wrong opening. And once that joke started spreading, there was no way the internet was letting the moment go. The biggest issue, though, was not just the dress. It was the confidence of the critique. Fans felt like if Aisha was going to sit there and judge somebody else's clothes on camera, then her own look needed to be completely flawless. Instead, viewers thought she gave them an even bigger fashion target, and that made the scene feel almost too easy to roast. But underneath the jokes, fans also picked up on something more serious. A lot of people said Aisha's comments came across as disrespectful, not playful. They felt she was talking down to him instead of helping him adjust or understand a cultural difference. And that is where the scene went from funny fashion drama to a bigger conversation about attitude. Because in reality TV, teasing your partner can be cute if both people are in on the joke. But when one person seems to be judging, correcting, or acting superior, fans start reading it differently. Viewers began asking whether Aisha was just being honest or whether this was part of a pattern where she criticizes him while ignoring her own flaws. What made it even worse for her is that many fans thought he looked perfectly fine. He was sitting there in a clean blue shirt, calm and simple, while she was the one making the bold fashion statement that became the distraction. So in the audience's eyes, the contrast was too obvious. And that is why this moment blew up. It wasn't just about who dressed better. It was about tone, respect, and whether Aisha was really in a position to give fashion advice. Fans may be laughing, but the spicy viewer opinion is clear. Aisha aimed the shade at him, and the internet sent it right back.